Hello, you lovely cubs, it's the Dragon Lord here, back again with another part of What If Tanjiro Was Kokushibo's Son, Part 9, the finale, the end of the series. Now, this is the final part of a 10-part series. I say 10-part because there was a Part 0. Now, yeah, of course, if we include Part 0, it would be 10 parts, but we're gonna do that anyway, right? Now, this is the first finished part, or first finished What If on my channel, and it's a real pleasure that I have made it, and I love that you guys enjoyed it. It really truly means a lot to me. This part is by far one of my best parts, I would say, especially for the ending, but I'm not gonna hold you guys up anymore. Just like and subscribe if you're new around here. If you haven't already, why not join the Discord and maybe even join the Roblox group? With that out of the way, let's get into it.
I'm up now, 20,000 on a bus down, I'm on my way, I'm going up now, and I ain't never gonna touch down.
All the Slayers geared up. They each had a first aid kit and some items that would come in handy. Most Slayers were now on the level of strength that some of the weaker Hashira had. This would greatly boost the strength of the Demon Slayers. Everyone got ready as Tanjiro extended his hand. Out of thin air, multiple doors appeared. 2 Hashira would team up, and following them would be the Tsugoku and the stronger Slayers. Through each door, 2 Hashira entered. The last door was Tanjiro's. He entered together with Shinobu. Alongside him were Kanae and Nezuko and Gyutaro, Inosuke, and some other Slayers. They started running through the Infinity Castle. Tanjiro had made sure to drop each Hashira off in a safe zone, or at least a zone where he hardly felt any of the energy that he usually felt from demons. Once Tanjiro and his squad entered, they heard a voice. It was Muzan. "Ha ha ha ha. You fool, you actually came to us. Well, as you wish. Your deaths will be slow and painful," the voice said as it disappeared. Tanjiro and his squad started running through the Infinity Castle. They'd find some demons and quickly dispose of them. Tanjiro remarked that these demons had the strength of upper moons, but they were extremely sluggish and demorphed. They continued on their move. Meanwhile, Gyu's squad, which consisted of himself, Rengoku, Genya, and some others, ran into the Biwa demon. Her eye had the kanji for the number 4. Rengoku took a stance and rushed at her. She quickly started playing her biwa as doors started to open, flooding the room with demons. Everybody quickly stepped up as they started defeating the demons. Lots of these demons could be ranked as former lower moons and upper moons. Yet again, they were sluggish, like they were made in a rush. They quickly took care of the demons and then rushed to the biwa demon, decapitating her without much resistance. They had to perform first aid in their own group for the wounded Slayers and continue after that. Meanwhile, Himejima and Sanami were ticked off. They hadn't found a single demon yet. Not only that, but one of the members in their squad, Zenitsu, had gone rogue. Zenitsu heard a very distinct sound and ran into the direction. He found the Upper Moon 6, Kaigaku. "Well, if it isn't the useless Zenitsu, why have I gotten this visit, eh?" The demon smirked. "You know well enough that I was coming for you. How could you let Kibutsuji Muzan, of all demons, sway your mind?" Zenitsu said as he prepared to go into a stance. "Oh, shut up! How was I supposed to share the successor title with a weakling like you? All you know is the first form of thunder breathing. Not only that, but you cling to Tanjiro as a leech. You are a burden to the people around you, and you don't even realize it," Kaigaku would say, unleashing a furious attack against Zenitsu. However, Zenitsu easily dodged. Tanjiro acknowledged my strength. He taught me how to become stronger, and now you're just a weakling to me. A weakling that made Gramps take his life, Zenitsu would say as he unleashed an attack so fast that Kaigaku couldn't even react. However, the entire surroundings got blasted away. Thunder breathing, 7th form. Honoikazuchi no Kami, Zenitsu said as he sheathed his blade. Kaigaku started disintegrating. He started berating both Zenitsu and their trainer for teaching Zenitsu a move he didn't know. However, Zenitsu shut him up. I created this form, he said as he started making his way back to his squad. Kaigaku disintegrated, angry that he lost to someone like Zenitsu. Zenitsu got yelled at by Gyomei and Sanemi, however they told him that he did a good job. They knew this was a family matter. Obanai and Mitsuri had found a replacement demon for Upper Moon 5, though they made quick work of him. The final squad, Tengen and Muichiro's squad, were fighting and getting rid of all the lower and upper moon demons that were demorphed. There were a few demons that had adapted, but they got taken care of rather easily. It would take them a while to get rid of these demons, however. Meanwhile, Tanjiro's squad ran into a demon. Upper Moon 2, Akaza. In a calm yet hatred-filled voice, Tanjiro looked at his squad and said one sentence. Go on without me. The rest of the squad did exactly that, as they followed Shinobu. Akaza watched them leave as he confidently stated, That's fine, they'd be a nuisance anyway. Before he could continue speaking, though, Tanjiro would attack. Both of Akaza's hands would be sliced off in an instant. He was bewildered. He couldn't sense any fighting spirit from Tanjiro, and he didn't even use the red-eyed form from last time. What was going on? Akaza regrew his hands as he got into a stance, a final form he had been working on just for Tanjiro. Final form, annihilation type, death punch. Akaza would say, sending a punch towards Tanjiro at an insane speed, a speed that could only be rivaled by someone like Kokushibo or Muzan. How pathetic, Tanjiro said as he got into a stance, his sword above his head arching like Rengoku's 9th form. Eclipse breathing, 2nd form. 2nd quarter, dark reflection. Tanjiro would say as he rushed towards Akaza, his sword making a circular rotation which cut his arm off and stopped his attack. This wasn't looking good for Akaza. If he didn't run now, he'd be screwed. I won't even finish you with my strongest attack. That's how weak you are, Tanjiro said, getting in Akaza's face. He was pissed off at the comment, but when he looked into Tanjiro's eyes, he saw death. He couldn't feel Tanjiro's bloodlust, but he could see it within the boy's eyes. Moon breathing, 1st form. Dark Moon Evening Palace. Tanjiro would decapitate Akaza in an instant. Akaza tried to regenerate, but it felt so useless. Why was he even trying? He wouldn't be able to fight Tanjiro anyways. He deserved this for the hell he had brought upon Tanjiro and his family. In that moment he remembered his human past, as he cried and crumbled away. Tanjiro didn't spare any sympathies. He didn't have the time to do something like that. He continued on his way as he ran through the countless halls. Look how hard these demon slayers are trying to beat us. Isn't it funny, Kokushibo? Muzan spoke as he looked over his shoulder. There Kokushibo hung from chains, his body being tortured every waking second. Yet he didn't lose the hatred in his eyes. Come now, fight alongside me. It's not too late. I'll even consider sparing your family. How about it, Kokushibo? Muzan spoke with his sly tongue. Are you scared? Scared that they will kill you? Kokushibo laughed as he saw Muzan's face turn to anger. If you won't help me, you won't be of use. Muzan spoke as he extended his hand. However, in that moment an axe would narrowly miss his face. He backed up, seeing that 2 Hashira now stood in front of him. He looked over to see a bunch of other demon slayers as well. One quickly approached Kokushibo, and although he was terrified, he inserted a medicine within the Upper Moon's body. Muzan felt it. His connection to Kokushibo. He was losing it. You vermin, get out of my way, he'd say, releasing a devastating attack. However, both Sanemi and Gyomei intervened and deflected the attack. Gyomei popped out his arms as his mark appeared. Kokushibo, who was watching this, was saddened. This man who had reached the pinnacle of human strength would die after tonight. After all, everyone who had the mark would die at the age of 25. Kokushibo would have to recover some strength if he would want to break out of his chains. The slayers around him looked preoccupied with Muzan. Thunder breathing, first form. Thunderclap and flash, sixfold. Zenitsu would say, cutting all the chains binding Kokushibo in an instant. He stood in front of the upper moon facing Muzan's direction. Sir, your son has helped me a lot, and he's on his way. We just have to defeat Muzan and this will be over, Zenitsu would say in a stoic manner as he rushed towards Muzan like all the other slayers. Kokushibo, who was now sitting on the ground, was bewildered by these children. Meanwhile, Shinobu and the rest of her group came into contact with Upper Moon 3, Doma. Their fight started. Shinobu knew that this was the demon that had hurt her sister, but it was fine. With this, she'd be able to get revenge. She, alongside Kanoe, started fighting the Upper Moon rigorously. From fighting Tanjiro, they had learned a lot, as to not give anybody an opening. Whenever Shinobu stabbed Doma, it would inflict the poison she had made onto Doma, which seemed to be very effective. Doma, being pushed into a corner, would start fighting serious, although when the other slayers started helping out, he was pretty much cornered. Even when Inosuke's mask came off and he taunted him, it ended up being worse for him. He would turn purple as he would start disintegrating. Right before disappearing completely, however, he'd send a concentrated attack towards Shinobu, wanting her to join him in the afterlife. It ended up hitting her as she was too off guard to dodge. She was losing blood fast, and from where the ice attack had hit her, she would start freezing. Everybody around her started crying as she seemed like she was gonna die. She patted Kanoe as she spoke. "Don't mind me. I'll just be moving on first." She'd say this with a smile. However, a loud crash could be heard. The dust settled as Tanjiro came running out of it, arriving next to Shinobu. "I'm sorry, my love. It's over for me," she'd say, putting her hand on Tanjiro's cheek. He had other plans, though. He kissed her. It wasn't an ordinary kiss, however. He basically force-fed her his blood. Simultaneously, he'd start reversing the blood demon art that was affecting her. She slowly started healing, until she fully healed. She laid there unconscious for a second, until she opened her eyes. They had changed. They had more color. She had become a demon under Tanjiro. Kanoe hugged Tanjiro and thanked him, as Shinobu just stared at him confused. "We don't have time to get into the details. We need to go help the others," he'd say, getting up. They performed first aid on some slayers. Meanwhile, Mitsuri and Obanai helped Tengen and Muichiro's group. With 4 Hashira, they cleaned up the demons rather quickly. There were an unreasonable amount of them, and not helping would have just exhausted the other 2 more. After they beat all the demons, they made their way to Muzan, arriving pretty fast. Gyu's squad arrived as well. Genya instantly pulled out his Western-style gun. They had developed a special type of bullet for him to use against Muzan. This was possible because of Tamayo and Shinobu, alongside some swordsmith and Gyutaro. 1 pellet of the birdshot he had the same amount as 1 dosage of the medicine, so if he could hit 1 shot on Muzan, the fight would turn around. All the Hashira started attacking Muzan. Everybody tried pinning him down. Muzan would stretch out his back tentacles and his arms as he wounded most of the slayers. Yet, the Hashira didn't give in. Each one used their ultimate move, as they pinned down Muzan's tentacles. His regeneration slowed down because of their red blades as well. This battle was really spectacular. Kokushibo was handed a sword by a few crows. It was within a black box. When he opened it, he found a Nichiren sword that was specially crafted. This definitely was something that Tanjiro had made with moon breathing in mind. He gripped the sword and it turned bloodshot crimson red as he rushed at Muzan along the slayers. He had already adapted to their combos as he himself used to train with each breathing user to improve back in the past. With Kokoshibo's help, they were able to make an opening for Genya, who was able to get 3 shots in. The first was where 2 medicine, one that would start changing Muzan back into a human, and another which would rapidly age him. The second shot introduced 2 more drugs, which would have effect later on in the fight. The third shot was a shot that would make trees sprout from Muzan. He got rid of them rather quickly. He was enraged. He unleashed a shockwave that would knock all the Slayers back. If he wanted a chance at winning, he'd need to take care of Kokoshibo first. "So long, Kokoshibo," Muzan said as he was about to strike Kokoshibo. At that moment, a loud noise could be heard. "Eclipse breathing, third form. Half-sun destruction." In an instant, Tanjiro appeared behind Muzan, as multiple slashes appeared on Muzan's body, most of them hitting his old scars. It burned, it hurt, it was hell. Muzan was in agony, and he turned around to see Tanjiro standing there. Both of his eyes were red, and his scar was burning black. What was this form? Muzan thought to himself. However, he didn't have much time to think. Tanjiro took another stance. This one seemed more familiar. It was that man's swordsmanship. Muzan tried to run, however the Hashira who had recovered came in and pinned him down once more. Sun breathing, first form, dance. Tanjiro slashed Muzan once more, the demon progenitor crying out in pain. Why did his attack burn so much? It hurt even more than Yoruichi's attack, was what Muzan thought. Nezuko and the other of Tanjiro's group arrived. She quickly hugged her father, who cried when she embraced him. Tanjiro had his full focus on Muzan, however. "We'll talk after this is all over," he said as he got in another stance. Eclipse breathing, fourth form, quarter-link chain. Tanjiro said as he rushed past all the Hashira at an insane speed. He'd slash upward. Muzan, who barely dodged, got cut all throughout his chest, and even part of his chin got cut. His regeneration decreased severely. However, his counter-attack started. He'd send out countless slashes and even sent out a shockwave. Tanjiro quickly dodged the attack whilst still rushing at Muzan. He'd kick the progenitor upwards with such force that he'd be sent through the ground, or roof. "Dawn will approach in 30 minutes, a crow yelled out. All the Hashira and Slayers made their way to the surface. The medicine that Kokoshibo had received had made him a demon that was under Tanjiro, making him immune to the sun. So Kokoshibo didn't fear going to the surface. The fight started once more. Everyone rushed at Muzan. Whenever he attacked, the stronger Slayers would get in the way and either block or parry the blow. With Kokoshibo's help, the fight was a lot easier. His moon-breathing forms also repelled a lot of Muzan's attacks. The sword that he had gotten was even better than his demon art sword. He remembered a lot whilst fighting Muzan. He felt regret for how he treated his brother. Why did he have to be this greedy? They should have just beaten Muzan years ago and ended these tragedies. Muzan was cornered. He couldn't do anything. This was the end. Yet he got attacked constantly. He knew he wouldn't be able to escape. Tanjiro and Kokoshibo would already be enough to take care of him. He was now basically being tortured. He tried to turn some of the Slayers into demons, but his attempts failed. Eclipse breathing, fifth form. 5/4 8 deaths. Tanjiro would say, cutting Muzan into 8 different vital points. Before Muzan could even regenerate, Tanjiro came back in with another technique. Eclipse breathing, 6th form. Half resonance. He'd say, performing a clean center cut on Muzan. Eclipse breathing, 7th form. Quarter blaze. Tanjiro said, following up with another move, this time amputating Muzan. Kokoshibo didn't sit still either, as he came in with a moon-breathing form. To be precise, the 1st form, almost decapitating Muzan. Some of the Hashira came in and performed their moves, like Sanemi used his Ida-ten Typhoon. Tanjiro started turning a lot, as he took a breath. Eclipse breathing, 8th form, 8/4 God Ender. He'd say, rotating at insane speeds, until his blade hit Muzan vertically with insane power, sending the demon progenitor into the air. The sun started rising as Muzan tried extending his tentacles to launch himself away at high speed. However, Tanjiro took a stance similar to thunder breathing. Eclipse breathing, ninth form. Infinite torment. Itsei speeding past Muzan, dicing up his arms into tiny pieces that started to disintegrate. Muzan tried desperately to change his fate. However, when he looked up, he saw that Tanjiro had another move coming. Eclipse breathing, 10th form. Blazing eclipse. Tanjiro said as his blade caught on fire, the color of which was black, as he cleanly sliced Muzan in two. His regeneration stopped, and he started disintegrating from the black flames, although not as fast. He couldn't do anything. The sun was up, and he disintegrated. Tanjiro landed on the ground. The fight was over. Kibutsuji Muzan had been defeated. There were almost no casualties. The ones that did die got a proper burial. Kokushibo got relieved from his sins. He'd have to spend the remainder of his life helping people out, which he wanted to do either way. There, Gyomei got saved by Tanjiro, who used his energy-based art to seal away his mark. Gyomei thanked Tanjiro. The fight ended in a massive win for the Slayers. After another month, the Demon Slayer Corps disbanded. However, a lot of the Slayers who wanted to keep working under the Demon Slayer Corps and under Tanjiro ended up protesting. So Ubuyashiki decided that a new company would be established, one that would keep the world safe as their primary goal. They called themselves the Eclipse Demon Slayer Corps. Tanjiro ended up becoming one of the leaders in this organization. Most of the other Hashira retired though, with good reasons. Obanai and Mitsuri got married, so they retired to spend the rest of their life in peace, whilst Giyu went and became a swordsmanship teacher. Gyomei stayed, together with Sanemi and Genya. Rengoku also stayed. Tengen retired to spend time with his wives. After all, they beat Muzan, so he didn't really have much else to do. He felt like his sins were abolished. And Shinobu stayed as well, obviously wanting to be with Tanjiro. Muichiro decided to stay as well, wanting to learn more from Tanjiro. Instead of wanting to be with Tanjiro, he wanted to learn from him, and also he kind of saw Tanjiro as an older brother. And so time passed. A world war happened, which the Demon Slayer Corps stopped. The wide public came to worship the Tsujikuni family as gods, and Japan ended up becoming one of the world's superpowers. The world turned out amazingly, with geniuses such as Shinobu and other people being turned into demons under Tanjiro. They were able to grow medical fields and other fields of research, and so thousands of years passed. An old-looking man was sitting on his porch together with his wife. They were enjoying the nice summer breeze together. "Oh, Tanjiro, what a crazy life we lived," the older-looking woman would say with a smile. "What a crazy life indeed, but we did our best throughout it all," old Tanjiro would say, with a smile on his face. He had already gotten a successor, so he was retired. "What a crazy life indeed, my love," Shinobu would say before she started disintegrating. Tanjiro wept a tear but smiled. "I'll see you on the other side, my love," he'd say as he held her hand till the end. After she was gone, he'd look out from his porch to the wild world that was before him. He smiled as he closed his eyes. The thoughts and memories about his life ran through his head. His first son and daughter taking their first steps, the world accepting everybody equally, his father's passing, and so much more. Happy and sad thoughts, but he was glad. He had no regrets. He smiled with his eyes closed as he softly entered his sleep. He'd disintegrate slowly and meet Shinobu in the afterlife. The end. And that marks the end of What If Tanjiro Was Kokushibo's Son. If you guys enjoyed this series, do like and subscribe. And if you haven't already, go join the Discord and also join the Roblox group. My name's the Dragon Lord, and without further ado, I am signing out.